This vehicle is one of the highest alpha damage vehicles in World of Tanks console, and today we are going to find out whether or not that alpha damage can make a huge difference in the games that we've got coming up in this video. But of course, we are talking about the Škoda T56. This is a vehicle that is similar to what you would see with the typical Czechoslovakian heavy tank tech tree leading up to the VZ55, and these tanks are actually very, very strong vehicles, with the tier 9 and tier 10 being one of the more interesting vehicles that I've played in the game, and really, really fun to play as well. So will this premium variant at tier 8 as the Škoda T56 that gets 460 alpha damage per shell with 2 shells in its clip be able to keep up with its competition of the tech tree tanks, which you don't have to pay for, which is probably the best thing in the game? So obviously, when it comes to a tank like the Škoda T56, it features very minimal penetration on its standard rounds as a balancing feature, I assume, alongside pretty minimal penetration as a premium round for a tier 8 vehicle of 248, which does put it at a very big disadvantage when you are coming up against these super heavily armoured vehicles like the Type 5 and of course the MAUs that you might meet at tier 10. And similarly, if you're looking at Mauschens, that sort of thing, you will sometimes find it difficult to be able to reliably pen them as a standard average player. And of course, if you know the weak points, you can more than likely be able to pen them. But that's where the accuracy does come into effect with the Škoda T56. As a base value, it is not great. We are running it with all of the potential ways in which you can reduce the accuracy to the best point possible, and it's still 0.33. For example, if you were to look at some of the medium tanks at this tier, you can look as low as 0.24, 0.25 accuracy, so you are significantly worse than a lot of vehicles that you're going to come up against. Even some of the E75s, that sort of thing, you are significantly less well able to, I guess, be as accurate and deal damage as consistently, which is what kind of makes this tank a little bit frustrating, even if it is a very, very powerful tank when you can use it as it's intended, with both shells being fired within a very, very short period of time. And with the gun stabilizer, this is something that is just, you have to take it on this vehicle if you want to be able to do as well as possible. We're running it with improved ventilation for boost accuracy, view range, reload speed. You can't boost reload speed with this tank because it's an autoloader, and so you can't boost it by using advanced loader. So we're going to have to run improved ventilation to do that, alongside boost a load of other things, which is great. And then we're running it with advanced optics to be able to spot opponents that maybe would remain undetected if we were just going around. So with that being said, that's kind of the build we're going for. This tank is relatively slow, 35 kilometers an hour. It does make it in that region where it's not slow, but it's not fast. And so you can end up with some games where you feel like you've committed to one flank and realistically you should probably have moved to the other one, but you can't because you're 35 kilometers an hour and it's going to take you a long time to be able to do that. So making sure positioning is key when you're playing in this tank is the keys to success, I guess, when it comes to this vehicle. Now, obviously, when you're running this thing, it has 484 meters view range in the way that we've set it up. Commander skills, I'm not going to go into in-depth with these because I feel like you guys know these if you've watched any length of tank reviews, and if you've watched the crew skill guides that we've done on the channel, you guys will kind of know them. But just as a snapshot, if you want to pause it and have a look, that's what we're running on this tank. It is a combination of our medium tank and also heavy tank hybrid crew, so it's not optimal in terms of how I would run it. So you might want to put on some more of the accuracy bonuses and stuff like that, and of course maybe track mechanic, that sort of stuff for some of the camo like muffled shot, that sort of thing. But in terms of how does it actually perform in the game, I think we should probably show you, because that's probably the best way of finding out whether this monstrosity of an alpha damage really does work and can deal a ton of damage. This first replay then on Cliff is what is going to, I guess, test this tank to the max, because this map is good, but it doesn't particularly have the best dynamic way of being able to play a tank like this. There's not a lot of buildings to hide behind, to trade behind. You kind of have to play it in this hybrid medium tank role, but you don't get any gun depression really with this vehicle, so it can be quite challenging to make the game work as you might hope. Now, it's not to say that gun depression's awful, but it isn't the best, and here we go for a shot on the snakebite. Unfortunately we don't hit, and then we go for another one, aiming more, and then yeah, of course we've missed both of them. Brilliant, nice. I even made sure to aim the second one to the point where it was probably a 90% chance of hitting, but don't worry, RNG had my back. But either way, we can push forward now. No point stopping there at this point. When you see people doing this, you can stop here, because a lot of the light tanks who maybe aren't as experienced will try and go up to the top of the hill. We're going to fire off this shell. It's probably not going to hit, but it's fine, because at the end of the day, we can kind of keep moving, and yeah, maybe we hit it, maybe we don't. Doesn't matter too much. So, with that being said, how do we combat this game? Our team have decided that the best strategy is camping in the base alongside a heavy tank, with the medium and heavy tank and 2 tank destroyers. Don't know why people do that, but they do. We go for a shot on the Ragnarok here. He's very, very dangerous tank, so getting him out the game would be lovely. And luckily we managed to take him down to basically a one shot for every single vehicle in this game, which is what we want. So we've done 3.6 thousand damage so far, and with a VK301P and just a lot of tier 6s around me, we can start to club a little bit, because this tank does extremely well when you are top tier, more so than a lot of the other vehicles in the game. And that's because you get that alpha damage, which pretty much guarantees, if you hit both shells, that you can remove a lot of tier 6s straight out of the game without them being able to do anything to you. And because the intraclip reload of this vehicle is very, very quick, so how fast you can fire in between both of your shells, yeah, you can quickly remove a lot of these guys. So we take out this guy with one of them. We've got a snakebite up here as well. He's got 399 hit points, but against the 490 that we get, goodbye. No, 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 you can't do anything to me. So with him out of the game, that means that we have secured the top. I wouldn't recommend going on the top when you're in a heavy tank, but at the end of the day, niche situations on cliff do tend themselves towards, you know, having to deal with the situation at hand. We put one into the TNH using the auto aim. Now we got to properly aim, because he's quite a slim shot, I guess, compared to the previous one. And there we go, we're up to 3k damage. It's very, very easy to pick up a lot of damage in a tank like this, because, I mean, when you're doing 900 plus damage every single time that you kind of reload, yeah, it's pretty dangerous. And unfortunately we don't get any more on the Absolution, but there were 2 vehicles over here, including that Ragnarok, which we should definitely get out of this game. We do spot one. The Ragnarok's up here, he tracks us, we go down, untrack ourselves, and then, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Jackson. And there he's gone. It's not Mrs. Jackson, it's Mr. today. So 3.2k damage, and yeah, 83 assistance. Wow, what a result for the assistance in this game. But you can kind of see how this tank fares. It's one of those where it's just like, well, you can hit me once and I'm going to take 900 damage off of you. Or maybe it's just a case of using buildings and obstacles in between you and your opponent to do a lot of damage, because you can take maybe one hit, try and use your armor, which is okay, but it's not exceptional. On the turret it's pretty strong, but it has a cupola, and so if you do that right, you can end up with some pretty good games. And jumping straight into the next game, we've got a bit of a weird one. This is a team destruction on a map that I don't particularly like. These sorts of spawns, they feel a bit weird, a bit unbalanced. It doesn't flow very well when you play Team Destruction on Rezanai, and it's one of those things that I feel like Wargaming could probably just keep the spawns how they are normally on this map. I don't know why they swap them up for Team Destruction, and I feel like it definitely leads to some pretty unbalanced games and some weird situations that occur. And when they start swapping all of the spawns, it it can end up with just some weird results coming out. So it's not my favorite map to switch spawns on in terms of between the two game modes. They'd probably just be better off keeping it as it was previously and how the map was originally designed. But you know, Wargaming do Wargaming, and they end up doing this sort of thing. And you'll find that with a lot of the weird spawn flip maps, so things like Encounter Battle, Team Destruction, they always have weird spawns that often are quite imbalanced from the point of view of someone that's played a ton of the different modes throughout my time of playing this game. There are definitely some spawns that are imbalanced, and this one is actually favouring the enemy team. Now that is because the enemy team get a lot of the ridgelines to begin with. They get the castle, which they can snipe people who are trying to make the cross, which we're doing now. Unfortunately, the enemy team haven't committed to get to the front quick enough, and so they're going to end up, I guess, not having as good of a game as they potentially could have if they'd pushed a little bit more. On Rosanai on the enemy team, you don't really want to push out of your base. You want to stay a little bit careful when you are pushing, and you pretty much want to play defensively from the enemy team. If you play defensively on our side, so where we were, you can end up having some really god-awful matches where the enemy team just end up like a light tank comes and spots you all, and then you have a lot less cover than the people on their team. So with that being said, we're up to 486 damage, so only one shot so far, but we do have a few donators over here. It's the tier 6s, which we always love to see, but of course, can we make use of it? We hit the Boilermaker here. Can we get one more on him? I was trying to go for a shot on him, and we finish off the Boilermaker. This is the case in point of having the high alpha damage. Goodbye, Mr. Tier 6. I'm sure that he had a very, very fun game being one shot by me. So yeah, not ideal for him. I do feel a little bit bad that they do this sometimes. The KV4 just about makes it away from us, which is a bit annoying. I was hoping we could get a tracking shot in there, and then because he's rear mounted, he wouldn't be able to hit us, and we could just remain firing at him. We found ourselves a little Diamondback, but here comes the gun depression. It's kind of a replay that showcases all kinds of functions of this tank, and you can see here the Boilermaker is going to go for me. I might as well fully aim, because if he gets one on me, he's going to do it anyway. So we put one into him, and there you go, up to 1700 damage, and not a bad situation for our team. The enemy team have done the case in point of what not to do on this game. They've pushed out of their spawn and out of the castle and ended up in our base, which is where they'll start to get farmed by all of the campers in our base, and yeah, that is not something that you want to do. Try and go for an inner track drive wheel or a shot that actually pens on the Diamondback, but unfortunately we just must have hit too far to the left of the track, so it doesn't actually track and pen, which is a bit unfortunate, but it's fine. And at this point, I'm just angling myself up to avoid getting hit by the Diamondback, but I am wanting to get rid of this KV4. He actually pens us here, which is quite an interesting shot. I was not expecting that, but we put one into him. Can we get another one? He puts another one into us, but we managed to set him on fire, which is lovely. And there you go. Not the best trades, but this KV4 was really annoying, and we needed to get a lot of his health out. Probably could have done it in a better situation, but hey ho, it's what we do here on this channel, just throwing away hit points for no reason. And yeah, with everything that's going on right now, I kind of have to play a little bit more passively now. I'm on 68 health, can't be going in too aggressively, so it's just a case of yeah, remaining a bit calm in this situation and taking the damage where we can find it. The AT-15 kind of pushed away. He's not going to be much of a threat. We've pushed just over the ridge again. I'm hoping we can get one on the Diamondback. I am not going to sit there and try and get a shot on him now, because we've already dodged that bullet earlier, and it's probably not going to happen again. So this is where, yeah, the armor does kind of suck on this tank, especially if you, I guess, give your hull armor. But at the end of the day, it's all about just trying to avoid the damage and then dealing all of your damage. I'm waiting for this guy to fire. I'm hoping he will, and then we can kind of swamp in and get a bit more damage here. We're just waiting now. Come on, fire, please, please fire, and then we can get one into this guy. We're just looking in third person here. That's what we're doing. The Diamondback has just fired, I believe, and we put one into him. Can we get a second one in? Yes, we can. There you go. nice little extra couple of shots into the Diamondback, and now we can just push towards the rest of the enemy team. If I get taken out here, we've won the game anyway, so it's fine. I just want the extra bit of damage in this game if possible. And yeah, not a bad performance, but we definitely lost a lot of hit points, and you could kind of see the strengths and the weaknesses. It is very, very strong when you do get both shots off, but if you bounce one or you miss one, or maybe you miss both of them, or RNG affects you, it makes this tank a lot worse because now you're trading 1 for 1, and of course in a tank that doesn't particularly have enough armor to be able to do that, then yeah, doesn't feel all too great. But maybe we'll be able to get one more into the turtle. Can we do it? Please, please, please. Can we get one more? And we can. RNG comes into our favor, and we finish off the turtle there for 3.599 thousand damage. So, not a bad result. Of course, 1500 base XP, we came top of the team. It wasn't the best results, and certainly you haven't seen the utmost top level results that you can see in this tank, but hopefully they give you an overview of what this tank is actually about, what it's typically going to play like, and whether or not I actually think it's good. So yes, it is a good tank. Is it super competitive on console? Probably not. But yeah, it can be really, really powerful under the hands of an experienced player. A newer player is going to be probably in that okay range to average sort of vehicle, because it does take a little bit more experience to make it work. But when you do get an experienced player, it becomes incredible, and I think it is a really, really good tank. But yeah, not for everyone. Hopefully that review gives you an idea of the Škoda T56, and if you have any questions or queries, let me know in the comment section down below. If you want to support me financially to be able to purchase all of these horrible premium tanks and stuff like that in the game, then feel free to join the channel as a member and just pay a small amount every month. That would be massively appreciated, and thank you to everyone that's done that so far. Of course, if you want to continue watching with some more content, there'll be some on screen, and most importantly, if you don't do any of that stuff, I hope you have a fantastic rest of the day, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.